has a great boat, Manana. It's an Express 37. Irritatingly beats all of us, and usually he does it single-handed. But he's come to talk about all of the gear and boat and all of that fun stuff, what to do, and what not to do. So, Trevor.
Stay away from McGregor's.
You find your eye inexplicably drawn to the white boat in behind, man. Yeah, that's totally normal. That's a Catalina 27. Happens to the best of us.
Also, by the way, feel free to get up, get a drink, and ask any questions too, especially the drink part.
I'm sure some of you know me, some of you may not. I'm Trev Salmon, Manana. She's floating out there somewhere. Hopefully. I want to talk to you about personal safety. One of the things, the biggest thing with sailing offshore at night, or even inshore where we call it here, is you have to look out for yourself. Don't rely on the skipper to have done this stuff. Bring your own gear, have your own gear, know where the ship's safety gear is to start with. The nice thing is, since a couple of good blowouts in straits, they've required a lot of safety equipment to be actually checked, and the crew knows where it is. You'll see placards in some of the well-prepped boats showing you where flares are, where the safety equipment is, if there's a life raft aboard, if it's stowed below, or if it's stowed up on deck. Yeah. Thank you. There's lots of different things you need to look at, but I want to go on over personal safety gear more than anything. You guys all know what this is. It's an automatic inflatable life.
Expensive.
Yeah, that too. It is also not Canadian Coast Guard approved.
Yeah.
I have been boarded by the Canadian Coast Guard on such occasion and got harassed by some bosun. Till his CO leaned over his shoulder and said, "It's better than what you're wearing." This is EU approved. It is 450 to 250 Newton. It's enough to float you on that. The biggest challenge with these though is make sure, if you're going to wear an inflatable, that your cylinders are attached. Make sure everything works. Once a year, replace the cylinders. And what you want to do then is blow off the old ones and just make sure everything works on that. I had a buddy of mine sail with me for a bunch of years. He can't swim a stroke. One day he was jacking his head and the cylinder fell at the bottom of it. This is after we'd done numerous straights, numerous swishers, not something you want to find out after the fact. Another thing when I talk about, this is an integral unit. It's got the harness and the life jacket all in one. If you buy some of the tethers, you'll see this is just a cow hitch. What they do is they want you to cow hitch it or just a loop right onto your harness. I'm not a big fan of that. I want to see some clip that'll let you go, so if you get dragged by the boat, you don't want to drown that way. Let the boat come back and get you kick free, and let them come around and get you again. Now, if you get caught upside down dragging on the back, you don't want to be in that situation.
How would you know when you wanted to release that? At what point would you know that you wanted to release it?
About 2 gallons in. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Another thing on that is have a look at the boat you're getting on. If you're a skipper, have a look at your jack lines. You don't want your jack lines ending in the back of the boat. Being a single-hander that I am, a smart man with the Single-Handed Sailing Society in San Francisco, great source of information, move your jack lines forward. So if you go over the side of the boat on your long line, at least you're going to be able to climb back on the back because you're not going to be dragging behind.
Awesome. Could you speak up a little bit?
Yes, thank you, I will.
So could you just describe that short jack line anchor?
Well, these ones. This is a spin lock one. So you have.
Sorry, I'm talking about the jack lines. I think you just mentioned the fact that the jack line should not run all the way. Say,
not to the transom. No.
Pulpit or push pit.
No, definitely not to the push pit.
What would you attach them to?
On my boat, I've got turning blocks in my spinnaker that are about 6 feet forward of the absolute transom on my boat, so it allows me to swing back around the back. Any hard point. I'd even suggest not hooking to stanchion bases or pulpit or push pit bases on that. Dedicated U-bolt through the deck, something that's not going to be a chance of failure. Sorry Steve, some of the welds on push pits and pulpits, they will fail over time. Which is precisely why, has he got, no you didn't put that picture up. If you've seen a couple of pictures of previous events, you'll see a guy sitting in the back of the cockpit, clipped onto a lifeline. Lifelines are there to keep you in the boat. They are not there to be clipped to in the event of a big pull. Easy one. One thing I hate to see, and you can see this one's got a double and a short line and a long line on it. What I see more often than not is the guys with the short line will have it hooked back to itself or hooked back to this loop. If you go to release and this is hooked back to your main loop, you're not going anywhere. You just get to drown 6 feet farther back. For lights, all sorts of neat things for lights. If you're doing, sorry, mandatory strobe for everybody on board. If you're going to that, quite simple system. It just clicks over the top. This one's really cool because it's got both a flash. Sorry, folks. It's got a flashlight in it too. Great. Have these on lanyards though. You can see I've got them floating free now. A headlamp is a great thing. The biggest thing with headlamps though is make sure that when you come up on deck you're red lighted. Otherwise you will get an earful from everybody who's on deck and has lovely night vision, and you come up with one of these, there it is, you blind them with that, they're not going to like you, and you will get an earful for it.
Can you talk about the red light versus white light?
Yeah. Ideally, if you're a skipper prepping for this, change out your bulbs in your main salon lights if you don't have a companionway flap, even if you do. Because if you're sailing at night and you get a blast of white light, you're going to be blind pretty quick. Any flashlights you come up on deck with the crew want to check sails trim with, the movie industry is so prevalent in this town, you can get gels for and put them in front of any flashlight. And it'll save your lights, save your eyes a lot, because it's going to take you 20 minutes to 30 minutes to get your eyes right back on that one. Another cool thing they came out with a couple of years ago, I run this on my gear after I did the safety at sea course. I won't shine this in anybody's face. This is what they call a laser flare. They're actually required in some places. You go down to Australia for the Sydney Hobart, they want this. This, if you shine it at night, if you've got aircraft looking for you, this is 28 miles without even trying.
Oh, no way.
You can light them up pretty good. These units also come with a dot, which is great for pissing off the neighbor's dog, but doesn't do you much good out of the water. These are great. They're waterproof. Depending on where you get them, this was an eBay special. This was $100. There is also green lasers that I understand have even farther range again. But the biggest thing with these, if you go over in the boat stuff, yeah, I single hand, so my boat's going to leave me pretty much on the go on that one. So it's one of those things. If you see an aircraft, you can light them up. If they've got night vision goggles on, hopefully you won't blind them too bad. But the way this sets up with the fan across the sky, they'll be able to pick up pretty quick. Biggest thing, stay in the boat.
Trevor?
Yes, sir.
At safety at sea, we were talking about that, and do not light up an aircraft.
No.
Do not shine it at an aircraft. Shine it at clouds.
Mm-hmm. Something to give you.
Most of your SAR techs, if you light up the aircraft, if
you're going to dazzle them
around, they go right home again.
Yeah.
And they're going to leave you. Do not light up the aircraft.
The biggest thing, if you're going out crewing with another boat, have a look through the boat first. Make sure that you're comfortable with what the skipper's done in the boat for safety. And looking at, because at the end of the day, it is his judgment whether you sail or not. But it is also your judgment whether you actually leave the dock on that boat that day. Have a look beforehand. The worst thing you can do is show up for your first maiden sail on a Straits boat. You want to have a little bit of time beforehand so that you can see whether the skipper spent some time, done the maintenance on the boat, done the maintenance on the rig, and has the safety equipment, and has your best interests at heart at the end of the day. You don't want to get out there and realize, well, he's missed that, and, well, we're on our own. You don't want to need to get that kind of stuff. Spend some time, get to know what your boat you're sailing on, get to know the owner and what his maintenance practices are, so you know what you're getting in for. Pretty much all that. Common sense is the biggest thing on that front. If you don't feel comfortable, don't sail on. You, at the end of the day, decide whether you're going to go out and sail on that boat. The skipper has the ultimate say whether you race or not, but you can also input to him saying, hey, we're not comfortable on that. And on that front, don't oversell yourself. If your ability gets beyond where the boat's comfortable, make sure you tell a crew member, say, yeah, I'm not comfortable with this one, so they know to keep an eye on you, and that then there's less chance of you becoming a liability for the rest of the crew.
What should the crew look for on the boat? Say my crew comes to my boat, which they never look through my safety gear, but I'm kidding. If they do though, what would you look for?
Rum locker.
Rum locker, yeah. You know, all I know where that is on Thursdays now.
Just make sure that the safety equipment is there and in good repair. You know, walk to the back, flick the man overboard light, which we're always supposed to have, flip it upright, make sure the batteries are there, and make sure it's a strong light. Because if you're the guy in the water and they've thrown that gear at you, the last thing you want to see is a little orange glow next to you. You want to be, you know, like Mr. Hale says, you want to be dazzled by that light. You know, you can be physically blind, but the other guys are going to find you. That's the biggest thing.
Trevor, what about a knife if you get into trouble with a...
I'm not a big fan of knives for the crew themselves. You know, if the boats themselves, the requirement is you're supposed to have 2 knives. If you look on my boat, I've got a knife at the helm and there's another one hanging on the boom vent. That should basically cover any issues on there. You know, a rigging knife is a good thing, but a lot of times if you can find it, it's buried in a pocket and it's too late on that one.
And one more question. Safety gear. So we're talking about all the life jackets, the harnesses, the tethers, all that stuff, the lights, the flashy events. What point are you suiting up? Because I mean, in 0 knots, are we wearing our safety gear? Do we start putting it on at 10 knots?
If it's 0 knots, yes, you should be wearing it. Realistically, most people won't. The biggest thing is put it on before it hits the fan. We all know when the sun's going down. Basically, on my boat, when I double hand straits, my buddy Jason and I, it's a mandatory rule on the boat. Basically, happy hours at 4:30, the gear's going on then. Put it on earlier, put it on before you get cold, because numb fingers don't help getting all the stuff done up. You'll be better off, and you've got it on. And it's just a matter. You can see my setup. I've got the short rope and the long rope hooked over it. I just wear that as a collar over my neck, so it's there when I need it at night if I need to clip in. Now I can't stress enough that pay attention to what's going on there. If you're not comfortable, make sure you inform your skipper. Make sure you inform that fellow, whoever is the watch captain on that. If you're on a bigger boat where you've got a watch captain and multiple crew on each shift. If you've got a little bit more experience, the best thing you can do in straits race, be up there on the start. As soon as you start, go for a nap. Sleep the day away if you can, because wide awake people are an asset in the middle of the night. That's the biggest challenge. People push hard all day, and you get to 9 o'clock at night and everybody's hit the wall.
To 3 o'clock in the morning, it's 2 people on deck and everyone else is down asleep.
You're lucky if you got 2 on deck.
I was 2 of them.
Yes. Well, you don't sleep, you're an owner.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is use your common sense. At the end of the day, it's a cheesy piece of plastic pickle plate you're going to win. It's not worth hurting yourself over. It's not worth hurting anybody else over. I thank you for your time.
Thanks, Trevor.